Assalamualaikum. Welcome to Member Spotlight by Allied Muslim Chamber of Business. MCOB is a membership based social enterprise with a mission to create a thriving Muslim business community. It's the power of collective wisdom, continued learning, and thought leadership brought together for Muslims by Muslims. Our core belief is the business leaders thrive when they have access to a supportive community of peers who challenge and inspire each other. Today, we have with us our member, Syed Mubeen Saifullah. As co founder and chief operating officer of Aiden Auto, Mubin brings decades of enterprise expertise to the future of mobility, combining deep technical insight with a strong focus on partnerships, product strategy, and scalable growth. His professional journey reflects a consistent commitment to championing customer success, fostering trusted relationships, and building profitable, future ready technology solutions. Welcome, Mubin.
Thank you very much for having me, Kashyap.
Thank you for being part of our membership. Would love to learn about your journey, how you started, and where you are today.
Of course. Yeah. So my name is Mubeen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Mubeen. I started my journey with this particular project with Aiden as a result of my time at Volvo Cars. So me and my two co-founders were at Volvo Cars. We were the connected car team. I was responsible primarily for launching third-party relationships with insurance companies, maintenance companies, rental car companies, etc. We were trying to do this on the legacy systems with old proprietary cloud design architecture. The data was stagnant, it was old, it didn't actually have real-time bi-directional communication. And so when we tried to turn on these various partnerships, ultimately we couldn't get them off the ground. At the same time, the team was also working with Google on the whole next generation of operating systems for next generation vehicles. That's including cars, trucks, buses, delivery vans. And when we launched the relationship, my co-founder Nicholas, when he launched the relationship with Google, no other car company or truck company in the world wanted to work with them. So we had the honor of being the very first partner with Google, and our team literally brought the world's first Google Automotive OS entitled Android Automotive OS vehicles to the world. So we quickly realized we could do a whole lot more on Android, and subsequently left and started Aiden with the sole intention of pushing the whole industry forward, finally making the connected car a truly connected device, and embracing the idea that the vehicle is the next mobile platform, and taking advantage of a full edge computer with a live data connection, a live internet connection. So that was really the catalyst of how Aiden started. At a personal level, my personal journey, I'm actually newer to automotive compared to my co-founders. I actually started doing strategy consulting at Accenture out of college. Subsequent to that, I joined a small startup called Neustar. I was employee 51. The company went public, grew to over 2,000. I managed almost $500 million a year in business related to something called the NPAC, wireless number portability. So I'm sure many of our audience members have changed their cell phone provider and kept the same cell phone number that you are talking to one of the key members of the team that actually worked with the FCC and with all of the different telecommunication providers to make that a reality. U.S., Canada, Taiwan, Brazil, different parts of the world. But that was what I did for 20 years, and then was recruited over to Volvo by the chief digital officer, who said, we have a Fortune 200 company. We have this thing called the connected car. The car's not connected to anything, so please help us. And so I know maybe the story was a little bit disjointed, right? Started for where we are now, but the background is important. So I came into automotive with a fresh set of eyes and a whole new outlook, and my approach to solving problems, I think, is very unique in this space. So that's basically the journey of Aiden. And on a personal level, this has been one that's been extremely rewarding. Our company now has raised a little over $7 million in seed funding and angel funding. We have our valuation at 28 million, and we're getting ready for a Series A in approximately 1 year. Our flagship client is Volvo Trucks, and we're already running in production in the EU, and intend on bringing more services to different parts of the world over the course of the next 12 months.
All right, that's definitely an excellent journey and a very good, like a successful journey. Can you share with us specifics related to Aiden? Like what type of services Aiden is providing or the product that you have?
Wonderful question. So Aiden's gone to market with a regulatory service, something called Geo. And basically what that is a regulatory compliance service for trucks driving through the country of Poland to be able to communicate with the Road and Transportation Authority roughly once every 40 seconds to 1 minute, their GPS location, and a few other data signals. There's roughly 1 million trucks every month driving through Poland. It's one of the hubs, like transportation logistic hubs of Europe. And the only other solutions, gosh, if in the market right now are these big, gigantic black boxes or burner phones that try to connect into the RTA. So we're the only in-vehicle solution. It sends a message directly to the RTA, and basically keeps the vehicle and the driver and the fleets compliant. So that's product number one. That's our go-to-market. Other services that we're now delivering and in process of finalizing for launch are seamless fueling, connected insurance, connected tire services, road alert services, and many more to come. Right. So eventually, this will spread to predictive maintenance and many others. We're working through a lot of different use cases for many of our clients.
All right. So through your service or the product that you have, anything that the vehicle needs, or even from service perspective or any other area that needs, so it would be communicated to the authorities and
That's,
the
yeah,
company.
that's use case one, Kashif, right? But in other scenarios, right, the dependency we have technologically, right, there's two pieces of this. One is that the vehicle actually has a live modem connection.
Yep.
The second is that it's running Google's next generation OS, right? So when I say Android operating system, the older legacy vehicles were running like Linux and Windows and QNX and a few others, and then some of them even deeper architecture into the further down. But ultimately, what has occurred is our first big bet as a company when we started working with Google was that the Google OS was going to win the operating system battle. And
Yep.
since then, every single car company outside of Tesla and then maybe one or two smaller OEMs have adopted Google as the operating system, right? So when I say, Google OS has got nothing to do with the phone, nothing to do with CarPlay, nothing to do with Android projected. It's
Hmm.
got to do with the full operating system. But literally all the American companies, all the Japanese companies, all the European companies, German companies, Korean, every single OEM on the planet, with the exception of Tesla and a few others, very smaller kind of utility brands, have adopted the Android OS. So our solution is first to market. Our patents have been issued. Um, so I think that's from a technological perspective, the Google operating system and the live modem connection.
Hmm.
The end user, the digesters of the data, right? So basically, AIDEN stands for Automotive Intelligent Data Enablement, and sits on top of the Google operating system. It's installed with the system privileges, and then subsequently can turn on any service with any OEM, right? So you can turn on parking services, connected parking, connected tires, connected insurance, and a multitude of other services. But
Yep.
basically, these are the premier services that the OEM wants to bring to life, right? And in different markets, there's different business development opportunities. No car company will ever be able to manage, 100 different insurance companies on their infotainment screen, or 50 different parking companies, or 30 different charging companies. Right? The market is diverse and extremely fragmented, and so car companies and truck companies should be able to turn on what they want when they want it. Right? At the same time. A service provider like an insurance company, right, or a tire company or a road alert company,
Hmm.
um, will be able to communicate with any type of vehicle that's adopted the Google OS. Like I said, over the course of the next few years, right, we're already at the 90th percentile. This will just become more and more over the course of time. So that kind of gives you an idea of how the system works. It's essentially like a middleware that connects any service to any OEM, right? We're
All right. And you mentioned that you started from outside the US in terms of providing this service. So, which markets have you captured so far, or where you are providing the services?
Yeah. So as mentioned, Volvo Trucks is our flagship client.
Hmm.
Uh, Volvo Group includes Volvo trucks. It includes Renault trucks. It also includes Mack. But we've deployed now in the EU with our first service,
Yeah.
and eventually we'll be able to reach other markets. There are other clients that we're working with in the Middle East, for instance, as well as in the United States. We're in various stages of test, but our production and first revenue generating services are in the EU.
Okay. All right. You have gone through definitely, like, you came from the technology background, and now you are part of this venture, and have gone through like the fundraising round, and now you mentioned that in about a year you'd be going for you have raised 7 million, and you in a year you'd be going for Series A. What are the learnings, some of the learnings that you can share with our audience who are looking to do fundraising and take similar path?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of learnings, Kashif, right, that I've taken. So this is my first time as a co-founder actually, you know, being at this particular depth of fundraising and doing a lot of the business launch, right? Like I told you before, my previous experience at Neustar when I was, still part of a very small team, I was influential in many of those discussions, but I wasn't the primary person going and talking to VCs and fundraising and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I think there's a multitude of different learnings. One first and foremost is that the team is actually a very critical part of this journey. The fact that you actually have industry experts, people that know what they're doing, the team, the founding team, right, being committed to the project and grinding it out is one that is imperative, right? Other employees can come, can go, but this founding team, if they're locked in to realize their vision, is probably the single most important aspect of this entire journey, right? So I think that's definitely part one of this, right? Part two is it is very very hard to get your very first client, right? So you can have an idea, you can even have a product, but getting your first client and your first revenue generating client on board makes all the difference, right? If the fact that you're generating revenue, you actually have relationships in place, and you're going places, is installs a lot of confidence in the investor community, right?
Mhm.
The third, right, big learning that I've had is that you actually have to have a very big, bold, audacious view of the world and what you're going to do and how you're going to go out and conquer the market, right?
Mhm.
If the TAM is a billion, or 10 billion or 20 billion, you really want to be able to demonstrate that you have a plan to get to $100 million.
Yeah.
And be able to capture that level of market and your thinking and your thought process and how you're intending on rolling out and going after these different markets is critically important, right, to to success. I think the last part, number four, right, of this learning, is sticking to a plan, coming up with a long term strategy, having flexibility enough to pivot in order to fail fast. Because if something's not working, you want to be able to pivot very quickly and then pivot over to a strategy that actually is going to win, right? I'll give you one example. When we first started Aiden, we went to a lot of the OEMs and said, look, we actually have an opportunity for you to turn on a whole new platform. Right now, the word platform for a lot of OEMs, like car companies, truck companies, they already have teams working on platforms. So it actually didn't resonate very well. The terminology is very, very important, right? Over the course of 2 years of trying this, we got traction with Volvo trucks. But when we went back to them and started explaining, look, this is not just the platform that you're adopting here. You actually have the ability of turning on services. That resonated very, very well, right? So we changed our messaging to becoming, to change from, hey, adopt a platform to turn on any service that you want, any service, any OEM. That has resonated and gotten us a lot more traction in the market, right? So just those small tweaks actually can make a very, very large difference. I think the last thing is this, number five, timing is everything. If
Okay.
we were too early on this journey, if we started too early, the market would not have been mature enough to even understand what we were doing, right? If we were too late, we'd be playing catch up. So we are still first. We're still like the timing is important. We're still first to market. This is still early in our overall journey. However, we actually have the opportunity of doing it before anyone else has, right? And we've established certain defensible positions, which other companies, if they're trying to come in from behind, right, will actually have a harder time, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that's really number five, right? Like I said, now, like in year four of this overall journey, other players in the industry, whether it be OEMs or third parties or distribution channels, they're now starting to have these aha moments of like, oh, now we get it now, we're ready now, right? We've now caught up all the other pieces. You're the final missing piece, right?
Okay.
So sticking this out, grinding it out, keeping a lean, scrappy team, I think from an investor perspective is critically important. At the same time, being able to deliver on everything you say you're going to deliver, even if you're a little bit late, still okay, but still you got to be able to deliver on what you said. Those are really important. And I think the last part of this, and this is more of a not a number six, but this is more just a kind of an insight. Uh, your investors are really, really trusting you to do right by them. They're trusting you with their money, their hard-earned cash.
Yep.
And so for you to spend that money, as a small company, very judiciously is of paramount importance. Having transparency with your investors, whether they put in $10,000 or $1 million, having clear conversations, explaining to them what the strategy is, giving them regular updates, quarterly updates at bare minimum, right? These are very important tools for you to establish credibility and explain to your investor community what's happening, where you're headed, and how much success you've been able to garnish with your efforts. Those are some basics, Kashif, that I have taken in this journey. Um, and I'm doing this now at a more micro level than I've ever done. I've done macro level work, right, in my previous experience where we're giving big updates to private equity firms or this, that, and the other. These are deep personal relationships, right? And getting a lead investor is critically important. Giving established, relationships with your investors who are trusting you to do well and buying into your vision, right,
Yeah.
is really important.
No, thanks. Thanks for sharing that. Where do you foresee Aiden to be in about 3 years?
Yeah, so 3 to 5 years. Um, we're still pre-Series A, so I'm gonna dream. I'm gonna dream big, and if I'm not dreaming big, then there's something wrong, right? Um, I envision multiple services in the EU, right, running with not just Volvo trucks but with other OEMs.
Hmm.
I do envision us expanding our global footprint with even more services and more OEMs in the Middle East and then subsequently in the United States.
Yeah.
I do have the great, like kind of the big, hairy, audacious goal of making Aiden into a unicorn. So revenue, right? Maybe we won't hit that $100 million mark in 3 years, but maybe that'll be in 5 years. But I think we're on our way. We can demonstrate how this can be done. And I think our continued trust that we have with our partnerships and the progress we've made in these particular regions and expanding the geographic footprint is one that will continue to propel us in the right direction. Um, I think that's really how I'm thinking about this. Right, we're looking at areas and opportunities that no one else is looking at. We're reimagining how this actually could work, um, and we didn't use kind of old thinking in terms of the design of the technology. We
Hmm.
designed this so that it can be installed. I mean, we've installed now with 9 different OEMs.
Okay.
It's never taken longer than 2 hours to install. We've onboarded third parties, never taken longer than a day. The
Hmm.
rest of the industry is thinking like months and years. We can do this in days. So this is very impressive.
How big is your team?
Our team is just we're 21. Team is primarily myself and Nicholas. My two of us are here in San Francisco Bay Area. We have a few sales consultants in Southern California for the U.S. market. We have our subsidiary team in Gothenburg. So my third co-founder, Jonas Sven, who's an expert in fleets, he moved out to Sweden to get our European engagements off the ground.
Yep.
We have our Android team based in Turkey, and these guys are amazing and wonderful
Yep.
and extremely good in terms of Android development. Cloud team is in Pakistan, and our QA team is in India. And then we have our legal
Wow.
team, accounting team in California as well. But the team is spread out across the globe. which gives us a global reach. We are able almost to work almost around the clock, right? It actually is a huge advantage for us to have our CTO in Turkey because our flagship clients are in Europe, and same time zones or similar time zones are very important, especially with our geographic footprint expanding into the Middle East. Having Sinan in in Ankara really helps us a lot. So yeah, when I go to sleep, right, these guys are getting up, and when I'm getting up, these guys are getting ready to go down, right? So we're able to get a lot done in a really good time frame.
No, it definitely it looks like you have put together the right team in and also from geographic perspective as well that is able to help you grow at a faster pace.
Yeah, gosh, it would not just help us grow, but we're also able to keep the burn down, right? We're able to, like, I mean, we're able to do everything that we need to do on a fraction of the cost of compared to any other attempt that's ever been done, right? I mean, our annual burn is just slightly shy of 1.5, right? Any other attempt at doing anything like this, companies are burning $10 million a month, right? So we're doing this in a very, very different way, and we've made a tremendous amount of progress.
All right. No, my best wishes are with you in terms of your growth and achieving the targets that you have set for yourself in the next 3 to 5 years. And
Wonderful.
thank you again for being part of this journey and being a member at MCOP.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.